So obviously I'm going to be recording this in sections because I got me some 17 and a half pages of notes right here. So there's going to be a dense amount of information, but hopefully it'll be entertaining. But yeah, I apologize for any audio issues, video, lighting. I'm trying, we have very little here. We don't really have any resources, so just trying to work with what we have. And but yeah, sorry for any awkward jump cuts and editing stuff with that. I know I should be better, but money. All the more reason to come to the expo and check out our booth and hire us for all sorts of events. We also, in addition to the wildlife and general animal education, we also have the Easter Bunny and Rudolph for holiday gigs, and hopefully, depending on, again, how revenue goes for everything, we'll get a turkey character for Thanksgiving together. We have the bits and pieces, but he needs to be refurbished because it looks all depressed and like it needs a fistful of Zoloft. So we'll just keep building as we have the means to do so. Right now we've been living hand to mouth for so long, so it's been a genuine struggle with us, with so many people. So that's my off-topic tangent yet again. But yeah, last year, as I was saying, I genuinely believe this is a great event, and it's really interesting. And last year there was so much information, so much great feedback, so much good discourse and discussion with everyone. I had wanted to write a blog talking about all of our experiences and the best moments, and any of the TED Talk style lectures and stuff. But I never got around to it, so this is kind of making up for that as well. But because it's, such a great event, especially one that encourages inclusivity, inquiry, and opportunity, which are all things we desperately need, especially around the Rochester area, there was some crucial information that I had heard and I've been researching. There is research showing that girls have less interest in pursuing STEM careers than boys. And if you're not familiar with the term, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I have also seen it being referred to as STEAM, so with an A in there for the arts as well. And there's always been, an art to every science and a science to every art. Which I believe I do say later in this as well. But yeah, I can see, well, it actually uses this and this, so it appeals, so I can see that being tried to be more inclusive and bring more people in. But I'm just going to refer to it as STEM. And specifically because obviously this is all in regards to the Science Expo in March. I'm going to be focusing more on science and tech. But the big thing I'm saying right now, girls tend to be less interested in pursuing STEM careers than boys. And one big statistic that we'll talk about in a minute is that at about the age 11 and a half, girls start to get interested in science, tech, engineering, and math. But then by 15, that interest begins to wane. So we're talking about end of elementary school into middle school and like the first 2 years of high school, when that's like the real peak period to really sink in and let that passion for those subjects really start to blossom. Now my background is actually in writing and the arts, journalism, English, and studio art for my college preferences, things I actually studied. So I'm not exactly going against the grain with that kind of stuff, but like I said, obviously you can appreciate this. These are things that affect our communities, affect our qualities of life, affect our career opportunities. So I really want to look today at why girls lose interest in STEM and STEM-related courses, and see how my experiences line up or diverge from the statistics that I found, and start really examining how we can keep girls' passion alive for these subjects. Because I mean, like I said, my background makes me creative, so, and that's also a skill you definitely have to use. You have to be creative and a problem solver and inventive and insightful with so much science and tech. So, girls are good at that. Let's just say that. Boys are too, boys are too. None of this is bashing boys and males. I definitely want to say that, but it's in terms of, empowering and encouraging females is kind of the theme of this one. So, a statement to start this off, controversial, unpopular, I'm sure. I actually hated science classes in school. I actually hated all school. If I wasn't being forced to go, I would. Math, science, history, the only class I ever liked until really somewhere in high school, middle school, which probably around the ages girls start liking STEM classes or disliking them. The only class I ever really liked was art, and we'll go into like the specifics of why that was. But yeah, and then it wasn't really until like I started liking English class and writing and any of those expressive courses, liberal arts, social sciences, more into the high school years. And yeah, I mean, throughout my entire academic career, I couldn't really ever get into science class. I just remember, like, a biology class I had to take as the, one of my gen ed requirements in college, 8 a.m. for biology, and they're talking about, like, the life cycle of moss or mold or something. And I already had my majors and minors set, knew I wanted to do, so I just wanted to, like, can you imagine how miserable and bored and restless I was just that 8 a.m. lecture on a Monday talking about this, and it's just... So, I get it, I never liked dry, boring texts and these repetitive tasks and topics that never seemed to have any bearing with my everyday life. There was the occasional topic, I enjoyed... I'm sorry, my nose is super itchy. There was the occasional topic I enjoyed, when we were kids and first, second grade, whatever. Dinosaurs, that was always seemed interesting when you have your little toys. And we'll get into, speaking of, how fun is so instrumental in engaging kids and making them want to learn more and incorporating that into the stuff they learn and how to make it, like, genuinely fun and not just, like, those, like, crappy old computer games that they would make so you would have something to do over summer that would help educate you into the next level, but you knew it was, like, low quality compared to, any AAA video game title or what have you. One thing that was really bad for me was, I was a quiet kid. I was reserved. I was an anxious thing. And, I went to public school. So really the only time a teacher addressed me was to scold or yell at me. So despite, generally being a high honors student, I dreaded class because angry teachers who are overworked and tired and frazzled and miserable, trying to, control all these rambunctious kids who don't want to learn. But yeah, I mean, you make that association, you don't have a educator who you have a good rapport with who doesn't make it, exciting. That can be a problem too, you're just like, oh God, don't talk to me, don't yell at me today. And then it's like, oh, what boring thing am I going to be forced to do? What misery am I going to endure just so I can, go home and play video games or draw or play around with animals, my pets, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, it was boring classes, mean teachers. Perhaps that's not fair, but I'm saying from, an elementary school standpoint and middle school, because there were some really cantankerous, ornery teachers who, I mean, we've all had them and we've all seen them, but yeah, they leave, they can kind of leave as much of an impression on you as the some of the greatest ones you've had, unfortunately. And then, as I grew older, my appreciation for science's role in society grew, especially, health sciences, healthcare, technology incorporated into that stuff, and obviously the social sciences. So in its regard to human life, in its regard to how it affects people's quality of life and everyday activities, and any sort of like stuff that was happening behind the scenes in my personal life, started really influencing my interests in that regard too, as it does for so many people in that age. So those are my reasons, and I'll get into more of it and like, oh, here's what we can do and all of that. But first thing, I want to look into some facts that I found about girls and STEM.